Welcome to the space where energy, frequency, wisdom, and transformation meet. My name is Brooke Richardson, and I am an energy practitioner, intuitive guide, and hypnotherapist. I am bringing you information, knowledge, practices from around the world from all kinds of different practitioners to help you in your spiritual awakening journey and your holistic well-being. So if this resonates, be sure to like, subscribe, and let's dive in. So I am here with Tjok Gde Kerthyasa. Thank you so much for being with me here today.
My pleasure.
I am so excited to dive into all things healing. You are a health scientist, a homeopath. You've developed your own method, and I'm super curious about your journey personally,
Sure.
and kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me here, and it's a hard one to answer that. What brought you to this? I started off leaving school and studying music. Yeah.
Did not know
So I was a jazz saxophonist, played in big bands. Dropped out of that. I realized it wasn't a career that I wanted to pursue. I still play a little bit. I love playing the sax, and went into hotel management after that to help with running my family property here in Bali.
Beautiful.
Yeah, which we're sitting in, Iba.
Iba.
And then through that, I started to get very interested in health. Yeah, so I went, Bali back then, it wasn't the kind of health mecca that it is these days, but there were interesting people that were coming here, and I had some exposure to that, and naturopath who's still here in practice, Frederique Nolt. I think she was one of the first natural practitioners I saw. I also did Buteyko breathing with my mother. Took me along to that.
Breathing is that?
That's a breathing technique invented by a Russian medical professor, which has been used all over the world actually for treating things like asthma, dyspnea, chronic coughs, allergies, things like that.
Oh, maybe I could use that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful method. I ended up becoming certified in that as well. And I think, when I was a chronic asthmatic, and doing that method, I literally saw my body healing itself. And again, I didn't necessarily decide to pursue natural medicine at that stage, and I got interested in organic gardening, farming, tea, herbs, and I think, it's really one of those things that grew quite organically in my life. And I studied nutrition. I was doing a lot of martial arts at that time as well.
So lots of different
Lots of things. I was
avenues.
interested in, internal martial arts, the spiritual side of various martial arts. And at one stage, I decided to do a correspondence course in just nutrition, informal course with the college that I ended up studying naturopathy and homeopathy at, ACNT, at the Australasian College of Natural Therapies in Sydney. And it was around the birth of my son, my first child, that I really, something, ignited in my soul. And within a few months of his birth, I uprooted everything and moved to Australia. I was accepted into the course. I applied and studied, went there not knowing that much about what, I didn't even know what homeopathy was at that stage.
What was that ignition, having your son?
Well, I used to say that it was when you have a child, a level of empathy is opened up in you that you didn't have before that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I'm very interested in, that I study a lot these days, is anthroposophy, so the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. And he really talks about that a lot, as empathy as being an important part of education, medicine, everything basically. It's one of humanity's, main lessons. One of the main lessons in being human is to learn empathy. a lot of people confuse empathy with sympathy, you know. But empathy is a much, you know, it's a much deeper process than just, you know, a lot of people say they're empaths, yeah.
Right.
And that often means they're sensitive, yes. But a true empath actually fully experiences what another is going through, yeah.
Do you think that's why so many people on this path have their own challenges to navigate so that they can
Well,
have that empathy?
I always say that, you know, don't, you know, for many healers, almost always, you know, there is an initiation process, and in the old days it was done kind of intentionally, and I think these days it's done through life if you're aligned with that. And I think also my understanding of astrology, you know, the form of astrology that I focus on is true sidereal astrology, but I'm also very interested in Vedic astrology, and they're very, very similar. Vedic also, or Jyotisha, being a sidereal form of astrology. And I was listening to one of the lectures on this, and the astrologer said, when you have a child, your chart changes. When you get married, your chart changes. When you have a child, your chart changes. You have a second child, it changes again, third. So you're actually, you know, your destiny, your path of destiny does shift, and things happen that you didn't necessarily maybe think they would, and you may not even see them on a chart. Yeah.
Does your chart change at any other point?
Well, your chart changes all the time. You know, your birth chart doesn't. Your natal chart is what it is, but you have a progression. You've got a progress chart, and that changes.
Okay.
There's another, let's call it a life biology, cosmology, that was talked a lot about or put forward into the world by Rudolf Steiner, which looks at different planetary ages through your life. So from 0 to 7, you're in the moon age. From 7 to 14, you're in the Mercury age. From 14 to 21, you're in the Venus age. From 21 all the way through, for 21 years, all the way through to 42, you're in the Sun age. 42 to 49, you're in the Mars age. 49 to 56, you're in the Jupiter age. And 56 to 63, you're in the Saturn age. So these are the 7 classical alchemical planets. 7 days of the week. 7 chakras, you know, this number comes up time and again, and it's uncanny actually how you can really track that cosmology through those ages, and the different themes in life that come up around it. It's very important, especially when we're raising children in education, to look at that, you know. You can look at a chart as fate, but you can also look at it as destiny, you know, the free will
You were telling me
aspect.
the difference between fate and destiny here in Indonesia.
Yes.
Can you explain that a bit?
Well, you know, I think it's not just, I think it's everywhere, yeah.
Okay.
But we just have the particular, you know, saying, it's just in language really. You know, if you you know, you're on the bike and you have a bit of a crash, you say, oh, that's my fate. Oh, itu nasibku, you know, it's my fate. Oh. Then if you know, you get accepted into a really wonderful job, or you know, the university course you're after, you go, oh, that's my destiny. Takdir, yeah. So I mean, my simple understanding of it is, you know, fate is that which is ruled by the stars and the externals. Destiny is where we engage our free will and consciousness and our conscience. Yeah. So, you know, when we, on that astrological conversation, one of the things I often say is that I don't study the chart to become obsessed by it. I study it to look at it as a map out, actually, of that. Because it rules us to the astral level. And if you look at many different, let's say, esoteric cosmologies of a human being, we have a physical body, we then have an etheric body, or a pranic body, or a chi body, an energy body, light body, vital force, yeah, that's the thing that animates us, that gives us life, yeah. It makes us, you know, stand up and grow. Then we have an astral body, which is more connected, sometimes called the emotional body. And astral is ruled by the star, astral, from the stars. Yeah.
It's about transcending that
Astrology.
level.
Yeah, so the astral level, you could also call it the soul. In Bali we call it the jiwa. And the jiwa, the soul, is where our karma is collected. And
Okay.
it's that invisible part of us that reincarnates. And then above that you have the spirit, the spirit body, Atman. You have two, but that's what humanity. That's our lesson. We've embodied the astral body, we've embodied the etheric body fully. We are now given this spirit to embody, but we're still learning how to do it. So that's why you have one other word for that spirit body is the ego.
Okay.
And you've got the small ego, which is me, me, and then you've got the evolved, transcended ego, which sees all. And in Vedic terms, it's the small ego is the aham, which is me focused. Then you've got Atman. Yeah, it's where Gandhi was given the title Mahatma Gandhi. It's often translated as great soul, but that's not right. It's great spirit. Two different things.
Interesting.
Yeah. The understanding of soul and spirit is a subtle difference. Yeah. But the spirit body is more subtle than the astral body. So a lot of meditation practices and things like that are designed, to master that astral body so that we can hear the spirit.
And so your healing modality, is it focused on the astral plane, or how do you go about?
No, focused on all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for something to be truly holistic, and that's, I think, one of the biggest lessons, not only for medicine but for all professions at this time, is one of the biggest downfalls. I'll talk about medicine in that is compartmentalization and specialization. Yeah, heart specialist, respiratory specialist, so on and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong, if I'm in an accident and I break my leg, I want an orthopedic surgeon.
Right.
Thank you. Please, in the ER.
You don't want an energy practitioner.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that, obviously something wonderful in specialization, but I think, I don't think specialization should be given greater credence than a general practitioner in many ways. We're losing the polymath. Yeah. We're losing the Da Vinci's and the Steiners and the Goethes, and the polymath who's able to do many things and see something as a whole. And we're seeing that specialization in almost every industry, and people are becoming much more tunnel visioned, and they're not able to see everything yet. Which, really, I would say one of the lessons for us is to be able to see wider and wider and wider. Yeah, it's not just open-mindedness; it's actual ability of perception. Yeah.
Do you think there will be more collaborations in that sense then, or do you think people will become more generalist?
No, I don't think people are becoming more like that. Especially with, the way technology is going. In a way, we're given access to a wide range of things. In a way, there is, specialization is rewarded. The paycheck of a heart specialist compared to a GP, general practitioner, is very different.
Sure.
Yeah, the difference between in engineering, it's a big thing. I mean, look, again, if you're building a bridge, give me a specialist. I want a specialist, please. I don't want a general architect.
Right,
I want a
right.
civil engineer who specializes in bridge building. That's fine. I mean, for example, a profession like mine is not rewarded by society. We have to stick it out. If you're and I'm not just talking about homeopaths or anyone in natural therapies. You leave university, you are out there to fend for yourself. Yeah, I had to work 2-3 jobs and pay my clinic rent. Like, I wasn't making money at my clinic, I was paying rent, and I was happy to see one patient a day at the beginning. That's why they say with natural therapies, if you're still in it in 5 years' time, you may likely stay in it. If
Okay.
you're not, then you will probably never go back into it.
Do you think that's just because it's not as widely accepted yet?
Yeah.
And how do you help your clients to become more in alignment?
Diseases, illnesses, suffering, the best teachers, the best guides on the path.
Thank you for being in this space of energy and expansion. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe for more wisdom and content. Until next time, land the light.